Asterisk I am not the mark. The Warframe first Void reference to a Tenno by name. A child's voice whispers in the operator's skull. Asterisk I am not the Warframe. Asterisk Umbrus's mirror shows a face that twists into a smile. The Void does not conquer, it replays. Trauma is its syntax. The operator marked before birth hears its voice in every shattered system. What remains in the reflection is not a weapon, a wound. The Void is not empty, it is a listener, weaponizing trauma as feedback. The Zariman incident was no silence, it was the first whisper tailored to fractured minds. Every scream the operator endures becomes a tool. The Void does not conquer, it curates. It repeats broken syntax from the Tenno's own past mother's absence, brother's betrayal, the weight of a body not one's own. What the Orakin called indifference was an experiment. Can pain be folded into a weapon sharper than any Warframe? The answer festers in every system the operator reclaims. The Void's audience demands performance, and the performance is the wound reopened. The Void is not a thing, it is a reflection, and reflections do not forgive. What if the Void isn't testing the Tenno, it's unraveling them? The Zariman incident was no accident. A child's scream pierced the Void, and the Void answered with the face of the one who silenced it. Father, mother, Orakin, a weapon's not forged in fire. It's broken in the cradle. The Void whispers not as conqueror, but as curator. It hoards the Tenno's vulnerability like a reliquary of bones. You were never too strong to be shattered, only too young to remember the shattering. The mirror in the Zariman tomb didn't smile, it wept. Weaponizes the a child mirror in the Morley than their Zariman own tomb didn't smile memories. The Orakin didn't make soldiers, they made ghosts, and the Void, it's the echo that outlives the scream. What haunts a weapon more than the knowledge it was never meant to feel? The second dream's operator delivers a verdict. Zariman 10-0's collapse wasn't random. A child, marked by the Void's touch, survived the collapse. Transference bound their psyche to a Warframe's shell, not a machine, a prison. The somatic suit doesn't house a warrior, it holds a shattered mind. Quest logs detail the whispers, not commands, not threats, echoes. The Void isn't invading, it's curating. The child's memorous burning labs screaming can become the Tenno's first war cries. How does a ghost learn to scream? By borrowing the victim's voice. The feedback loop tightens. The Void doesn't need to corrupt, it only reflects. A survivor's guilt becomes a soldier's rage. A orphan's grief becomes a weapon's hunger. The Tenno's indifference masks a worse truth. They are fighting their own ghosts. Every mission a mirror, every kill a reenactment. The operator knows. They hear the child beneath the frame, beneath the suit. The Zariman incident wasn't a beginning. It was a rehearsal. The Void learned to whisper there, learned which wounds never scar. What do you fight when the enemy is your own voice? The Tenno's war isn't against the Void, it's against the part of them that knows the Void is right. The Zariman incident was no accident. A fracture in the somatic suits revealed raw Tenno minds pulsing with unprocessed grief. The Void did not strike, it listened. Then it echoed. Void beams carved cities, but their true shape was memory abandonment, failure, the weight of 1,000 silent screams. The suits amplified it. A child's fear became a weapon's focus. Indifference, a lie spun to mask precision. The Void's attacks are curated. A dash not toward death, but toward the moment a Tenno first felt small. The cycle is not random, it is recursive. You think the war within is chaos. No, it is a dialogue. The Void speaks in fragments of its host, weaponizing what they hide even from themselves. A Tenno's scream does not shatter glass, it confirms a truth the Void repeats. Asterisk you are your own weakness. Asterisk somatic suits, once cradles of identity, now amplify the void between self and shell. Every beam fired is a mirror. Every dash, a retreat into a wound that will not close. What became of Zariman's children? Their trauma birthed the great cycle's first horrors, not monsters, manifestations, projections of a truth the Void wields like a blade. Asterisk you are not whole. You never were. Asterisk the Tenno fight what they cannot name. The Void does not conquer it convicts, and the suits, oh the suits they store more than bodies. They store the evidence. The war is not won by steel. It is drowned in the sound of a voice that knows every scar you've never spoken aloud. The Void's mirror does not reflect, it excavates. At Zariman it unearthed, not attacked. A whisper, not a weapon, fractured syllables of what you've lost, what you are. The war is not against oblivion. It is against a parasite that feeds on your name's shape. A counterargument lingers, the void is not a presence, only absence. A silent stage where fate plays out, but Zariman's logs contradict this. The operator's screams were not generic. They were precise. The void did not echo traumate edited it. A parasite does not feast by passivity. It selects, it shapes. The argument of neutrality falters when the void's script mirrors the victim's scars. Critics call it coincidence, but coincidence does not explain the syllables that shattered the operator's mind. The void is not a backdrop, it is a scribe, and every whisper is a self-fulfilling prophecy. How else to explain the operator's final transmission? Not a scream but a question. Asterisk, why my story? Asterisk, the void's answer is written in the scars it carves into the asking. Indifference cannot curate, indifference cannot care. Yet the Zariman incident proves the void's voice is no cosmic static. It is a mirror, a wound, and the Tenno's fears are its vocabulary. The stage breathes. And it knows the lines y'all say before you say them. The Zariman lab's sterile cold seeps into marrow. Fluorescent hum merges with children's whispers faint, overlapping, trapped in the somatic suit's archives. The void does not watch, it listens. It stitches their earliest screams into a language. When the man in the wall materializes, his form trembles with the Tenno's own heartbeat, a feverish echo of their panic. Smoke clings to his edges, reeking of ozone and burnt hair, the same scent that haunts their stolen childhoods. They did not lose their bodies. They lost the right to forget. Each Warframe is a vessel, yes, but also a vault. The void unravels their psyche thread by thread, weaving a net to catch itself. How does it learn their fears? By dreaming through their eyes. By making them relive the moment the Orokin took their hands, promising eternity, and instead buried their souls in steel. The feedback loop tightens. Every conflict, every war sharpens the void's mimicry. It does not fight, it folds, it flows. It becomes the shadow that knows you better than you know your own name. The suit's stored memories are not just data, they are bait. And the Tenno, in their crusade, walk straight into the trap they built for themselves. The operator clings to the Lawdust promise. The drifter drowns in purgatory's ache. Both are threads in a tapestry the void weaves with memories it did not earn. At Zariman, the void ceased its impersonal hunger. It learned names, it learned scars. The Tenno's first massacre became its first Lesona child scream, a weapon's first fire. The void does not conquer, it mimics. It cradles the operator like a parent who never left. It haunts the drifter with the weight of a body that was never theirs. What is trauma but a story the mind cannot unwrite? The lotus whispers asterisk, you are chosen asterisk. The void whispers asterisk, you were always broken asterisk. One offers salvation, the other offers truth. And the Tenno, fractured between these voices, become the weapon the Orokin feared. The Warframe is not steel, it is a wound made flesh. Every circuit pulses with the ghost of a child who never grew. Every shot echoes a parent's command. The void does not fight the Tenno, it becomes them. What horror waits when the Tenno finally listen, when they realize the enemy was never outside but inside, bleeding silent. The void's reach is not a tide but a wound. It does not consummate rehearses. What was the Zariman incident but a whisper tailored to a child's fear of abandonment? The Tenno were never alone in the dark. The void remembers the weight of their small hands, the tremble in their voices when they begged for sleep. It is not indifference that haunts them. It is a script. Each fracture in their psyche is a door left ajar. The void does not need to break in. It only needs to echo what they already know to be true. What does it hunger for when the Tenno falter? Not their bodies, not their will. The hollow space between their breaths where the child still waits. The Warframes are not machines, they are monuments to the Tenno's buried screams. The Orokin did not create the void, they polished its mirror. And now, when the void speaks, it does so in the Tenno's own voice, soft, familiar, unrelenting. What horror waits when they recognize the comfort in its lies, when the enemy becomes the echo, and when the echo is all they've ever known. The operator's breath fogs in the vacuum's chill, a ghost exhaled from a throat too raw to scream. Their whisper cuts through the static, asterisk, I am not the Warframe. I am the child who wears its skin. Asterisk, the Warframe's plating groans, a hollow cradle of dying cells, its light dimming like a star suffocated by its own corpse. Behind them the void's mirror pulsisically violet, reeking of ozone and burned sugar. It shows no warrior, no armor, no weapon. Only a child, reeking of small and ozone and burned sugar shivering, no shard of weapon Orican code like a broken prayer. The Zariman incident replays in the glass, a voice not of war, but of grief *, you were never meant to survive. The operator's fingers dig into the Warframe's rib armor, its cold metal bleeding heat into their scars. A memory flashes, a mother's face, overwritten by the technocyte swarm. The void does not create fear, it mines it. The mirror's light grows softer. The child's eyes, once hollow, now burn with the Warframe's dying glow. Silence swallows the truth like a black hole devouring starlight. The void's whisper lingers, not as a threat, but as a requiem. The air chokes with static, a chill gnaws at the Tenno's spine, frostbite memory, not cold. At Zariman's threshold the void did not roar, it hummed. A tone like rust scraping bone, weaving the Tenno's own voice into its chorus. Did you hear it, the echo of your mother's last breath? The scream you swallowed when the world burned. The man in the wall is no prisoner. He is the void's mirror, polished with stolen scars. A whisper blooms in the dark, * you are the wound, * the Tenno stumbles. Their Warframe's visor fog steers or condensation. The line bleeds. What if the enemy is the echo? What if the war is inside? Breathe. The screen fades to